Alright, what's up everyone? This is going to be a quick rundown of my pedal board. So yeah, I wanted to make something that could accommodate all the instruments I like to play, and I'm trying to be able to just to switch between them on the fly and stuff like that. So it's taken a lot of practice, but so far I like the setup that I have. It took about a month and a half, 2 months to put all this stuff together. Some of these pedals I had laying around, some things I just got to build this pedal board. But yeah, everything is pretty much sitting on this piece of wood from my desk. So the desk is broken. I just ripped off the front panel to the drawer, which is already fallen off, and then just used that as the base of the pedal board. I'm just using basic Velcro, the outdoor extreme strips to hold everything down, and so far it's working. When you go online and you look at different people's pedal setups, a lot of that stuff has pretty expensive equipment or boutique stuff, and there's nothing boutique or super expensive here. You don't need all this stuff if you want to build your own pedal board. This is going to be a great kind of primer to get some stuff to get you going. But everything on here is pretty affordable and pretty approachable. Like I said, you don't need all of it. Just with 2 pedals on here, you've got like a powerhouse. And so I'll explain like my setup and how everything works. So this pedal board has kind of like 2 sections to it. One is for the acoustic instruments, and then one of it is for the acoustic instruments and just anything else I want to plug in. So first off, we've got the Zoom A1X and the Sonic Cake acoustic DI, or preamp, I guess you would call it that. So pretty much everything starts with the Zoom A1X. It's a pretty good pedal for what it is. It's specifically built for acoustic instruments, which is pretty rare. It's just hard to find anybody making stuff for people like me who don't play guitar that much but then want to still have the effects, and it works pretty well. The other thing is that it comes with this low to high impedance adapter, 1/4-inch adapter, which is worth the price of the pedal by itself, because these things are so hard to find. It's hard to find something that's going to boost your signal, that has phantom power and a volume control all in one. That's actually pretty affordable. They don't sell it separately, unfortunately, but if you get one of these, especially used, and it comes with this, like it's a great deal. So when you want to get a Zoom, the A1X, a good tip is to buy them from Japan. Like you can go to the American eBay and then find a Tokyo seller, and the price is often cheaper there than it would be trying to buy it brand new here. If you see one of these used, definitely snatch it up. I saw one for $90 with the mic attachment, which is just like a plain steel. So if you get them used, get one, but make sure it comes with this preamp adapter, because you're really going to need that, and it's just so useful. And it's hard to find anything that does what this does that's also affordable, because most options, just the preamp alone, is going to cost more than the Zoom pedal. Okay, and the A1X comes with the mic preamp. And so far, I like the A1X a lot. The effects are great. It has a looper, it has a metronome, and like a drum machine so you can play along to yourself. Even if you don't even use this to go play live shows, it's a great practice tool to have in the bedroom. I like the expression pedal too. I just wish it had a little bit more travel. And it doesn't like export your expressions to different pedals. It's all internal, but it works pretty well, and it's fun to map the wah and the delay and reverb specifically to the pedal. The big downside of the Zoom is that you can, but it's really tedious. So if you wanted to like manipulate specific pedals or the effects chain on here, it's going to take too much time to try to do that. So everything you need to do beforehand, which is what they call presets, and you just switch through your presets here. There's all different types of stuff in here for sax and flute that I put together and stuff like that. So yeah, to manipulate the actual effects in here in a live setting is just going to be too hard. So that's why the other pedals kind of step in to that role for here. So pretty much I get a good, clean, strong signal out of here, especially, why the Zoom is good because it comes with EQs specifically built for instruments. So even though I have this bamboo flute that I'm using as a pointer, I can take the violin EQ and just adapt it to the flute. And of course I use the saxophone EQs as well, and all that stuff is really great to get you started. So if you just wanted to put effects on your acoustic instrument like right now, and you didn't want all this stuff, you could definitely start with the A1X and then just be off to the races. And to have like a really powerful setup, an A1X and like a dedicated another effects pedal would really just send you home. So pretty much everything goes out of the Zoom to the Sonic Cake Acoustic DI, and I like this pedal because it was $50. It has a dedicated EQ on here that's easier, that's more quick to manipulate than on the Zoom. The Zoom also has a 3-band EQ, but this one is much easier to adjust because of the large physical knobs to move around. It has a preamp, so I can boost my signal even louder if I need to. So one thing I found useful is when I'm playing with other people, I may be at a low volume as just doing backup stuff, and then when it's time to solo, I can hit the preamp button and boost the signal. And I can also do the opposite. I could turn the volume down, I could turn the volume knob way down, and then actually no, that's not going to work because it'll turn the volume down for everything. But in a way I could do that. I would just turn the preamp off, but you can kind of get what I'm saying, which is that if I need to do a quick volume boost, I can hit the preamp button, and if I need to quiet things down, I can also take the volume button, lower it, and then engage the preamp button, which will automatically turn stuff down. So I kind of have a quick way to raise and lower the volume on the pedal. I think that's what I was trying to say earlier. What also is great about this is that there's a dedicated reverb as well. And the reverb sounds pretty good. It's pretty basic room reverb. It's nothing super intense or anything like that. But if I want to have a quick, clean signal, I can do the bypass in the Zoom by pressing both pedals. So I'll do something like this. It's in bypass mode, and now I have a strong, clean signal. And the great thing about this is it has a balanced output XLR. I don't know if you can see that. Let's see if I can fix. There you go. So I've got a balanced XLR output here. And so it's pretty much a parallel signal chain. I can run my normal effects out of here, and then out of the Sonic Cake pedal, I can have a clean, strong signal. Or even not just be clean, it can just be modulated by the Zoom. So I have two different signals with different effects parameters going at the same time, and then I can combine those in post if I was trying to record and stuff like that. So I find that super easy and a lot of fun. And it's also fun too to do it live, to have two different signals going forth, to have I can put a shimmer reverb on here, have no reverb on this one, and just do whatever I want in the Zoom and have two different signal chains competing with each other at the same time. Like I said, which is a lot of fun to do. So these two pedals are pretty much for the sax and flute or any acoustic instruments I have, and those take care of that. Now when you get over here, this is the TC Electronic Plethora X1. This came out at the end of last year. They just dropped the price of it, $50, so I decided to give it a try. I love the sounds that come out of this thing. It's a strong pedal. It's pretty much one effect at a time, but you can stack 14 different pedals into it, or I guess they call them tone prints or whatever, but it pretty much is like a pedal preset. So you can stack 14 different types of presets in here, and they're easy to switch and stuff like that. Now, I like this pedal a lot. It sounds great. It gives me that wow factor that I've wanted with effects, because I want something close, because with the boutique pedals, why they're so popular is because they do stuff really well. And I think that because this is all based on TC pedals, you kind of get the best of both worlds with the X1. I think the issue is that it's still, the software is kind of janky. So I was now there's one preset in general that just will not load on here. I can't, it's supposed to connect to your iPad or iPhone. I can get it to connect, but it disconnects all the time. TC is owned by Behringer, so take that as you will. But the Behringer-ness is still a part of this pedal. So hopefully they fix that in more firmware updates. The software is it's also not very intuitive to understand, and there's no manual that comes with it. There's only a video guide that doesn't really explain that much. So anyway, there's a lot of headaches and a lot of Behringer-ness with this pedal. However, it does sound good, and I like using it a lot. And it gives, like I said, that extra X factor on top of the Zoom effects. And there's nothing wrong with the Zoom effects, but again, the problem with the A1 series is that you're not going to get the best reverbs that are in the other Zoom pedals. So this is a 12-year-old pedal that you've seen in other videos. This is the Zoom BT100. It's a multi-effects pedal. It has all different types of stuff in it, and it works really well. But then again, a big issue is that I can have a shimmer reverb on here, but there's no shimmer reverb on this pedal. Only selected effects are there for the A1X. So that's kind of a downside of it. And these older zoom pedals, I do want to get rid of this one next because the DSP is kind of low. So I can put a shimmer reverb on here, but the problem is that it takes up a lot of DSP. So I can only run one other effect at a time. And so a tricky thing about these older zoom pedals is that, I think I said it in the previous videos, that for every chain you want to run a compressor or a graphic EQ to kind of give it that extra boost when you want to run stuff out of here. And that's going to make the effects a lot better. And you're going to have to tailor the effects to what you like. And that's the kind of the downside about even all this stuff, is that you're going to spend a lot of time configuring presets and figuring out what you like and messing with parameters and stuff like that. So it's almost as much as like practicing your instrument. You're going to have to play around with the pedal board and see what works for you. Because the TC Plethora X1, the effects were way too strong on the factory settings. I had to turn a lot of stuff down to get it to play nicely with the wind instruments. But once you do dial them in, they sound great and they're fun to play with. And I like the tone print kind of idea, which is that, you know, if I go to the flashback, the TC flashback setting on tone prints, the tone print just isn't the delay. It can be a combination of different effects. So like they'll take a Hall of Fame with a delay, with a vibrato, and they'll make a tone print preset with that, and you can put that under your delay setting if that tone print had it. I don't know if that makes sense if you don't understand the system. The tone print thing was kind of confusing to me, but once you get a hang of it, it's pretty useful and stuff like that. So anyway, stuff goes, oh wait, let me explain this part too. So now we're getting to the stereo section. So the previous section was for my acoustic instruments here. And then once you get over here, we start to go into stereo mode. And so what I do is I'll take my secondary instrument and I'll plug it into the stereo jack down here. So I'll have my synth playing through these pedals, and I'll have my saxophone going through this out here, and they both come out the stereo outputs on this pedal too. And so that's pretty nice. Now, one downside about doing this is that if you plug another instrument into a stereo input here, you will get a slightly lower volume in the right channel. And what you want to do is just not pan those channels when you're mixing, or you can pan them in a way that gives you an equal boost. So you would raise the level on one channel and lower the other channel to make them equal. Now you can't really hear that live. You can only, I don't hear it live. I can see the difference when I plug it into the interface and I look at the signal levels of both channels, that one is higher than the other when you plug a different instrument into the stereo input. So my saxophone or flute is going to the mono, everything else is going to here. So I've plugged the electric guitar into this input and it was fine. And along with the synth, it was fine too. You could get like a multi-input and then plug everything through the A1X, but that's not ideal. You could do it, but it's not going to sound good. Like I tried plugging the synth into the input here directly, and it didn't sound that great. I think the levels are just too high. So I would avoid that and just plug straight into the guitar pedals going down here. And I got pretty much the ends with the looper that I've had for a long time. And it's not on because it's not plugged in. You have to plug it and turn it on. And this is just a $10 sustain pedal that I've had for a while too, laying around. And that makes it easier to start and stop the loops going in here and to erase the loops. And I like this pedal too because it's easy to store loops and bring them back later. I am kind of like fighting about where to put this in the chain, because I do want to manipulate the loops with the effects. But if it's at the very end of the chain, it's kind of harder to do. And so far, I've spent about power. One thing I do need is also a power supply. So I'm daisy chaining everything through one of those like 9-volt, I don't call them 9-volt wall warts, but it's one of the wall plugs, and everything's chained together in here. It's not ideal, but power supplies are also expensive, so that's been another hindrance. I'm kind of been surprised that a decent isolated power supply costs as much as two of these pedals combined, and it's just the power. So that's kind of nuts. But this is why I have this battery bank here. The battery bank powers the Zoom, and that's on an isolated power supply because it doesn't work well with these. So that powers the Zoom, and then everything else is just powered through the wall outlet. And yeah, so I'm going to put another video up of sound demos. This video is going to be way too long trying to do everything at once. So once I head back to the practice studio, I'm going to make a second video kind of showing about how I organize all the sounds. But yeah, I love this parallel system, having two different signal paths, doing different things, but all coming together in a final mix. And I even plugged the drum machine up to the stereo side a couple days ago to finish another track, which was a lot of fun. So this is my approach to building a pedal board. Just use whatever you have around you and just make it work, make it happen. And you can do stuff in an affordable way that kind of works for everybody. And I was saying before, if you just had the Zoom and like the TC or like another pedal, or even just like two Zooms, the A1X and like a 70 CDR, like that's an incredible, powerful unit that you could have that can just do anything you need it to do. And this little mic adapter down here is just what I was using before to plug in the pedals. Like I said, and it's not that great to use before. And I used to use the SP404 to run my effects through with my instruments, and that got really annoying having to keep playing with the effects, keep trying to do stuff with my hands, but then also play with my hands and stuff like that, and then the effects don't save. So you have to manually save the effects, but then you may not want to because it will mess with the samples you're playing with, and then you can't really configure which effects are playing out of which input on the SP404. So all that stuff got kind of annoying, and I was like, you know what, if I should just try something different and have a dedicated effects unit for my instruments. And like I said, it blows that out of the water. Now it's nice to have all those SP404 effects, but this is just so much easier and simpler to do that I'm much more just gonna use this as my main effects unit versus going back to the SP404. And I'll probably keep. So what I've been doing too is I'll plug the Mini Freak main outputs into the SP404. I'll take the headphone output of the synth, plug it into here, and then once again I'll have two different effects chains going at the same time, and then I'll plug everything into the mixer. So that's also been a really cool setup that I'll have to demonstrate later. So yeah, it's a pretty flexible setup, pretty affordable. You don't need all this stuff that I have. I recommend definitely try out the Zoom if you have an effect pedal, and if you've got a lot of money to spend, go ahead and go for something much better. All the cables too, the audio jacks that are connecting everything, those are also from Sonic Cake. They were $10 for a 6-pack, so that was pretty affordable. One problem is that they are too short, so I'm going to have to get a little bit longer cable to connect these two to rearrange everything. But yeah, so that's what I'm looking forward to going in the future, is replacing this Zoom, getting a little bit longer cables, and then getting a wild card kind of weird pedal at some point. So yeah, let me know what you think, and see you next time.